Since we've launched the program in St. Mary's in 2008, we have 0 injury of those vehicles, which is huge in our industry. We'll get rid of this.
Postpone, quick, quick, quick.
The biggest thing that, I mean, we knew was going to happen, but we really didn't expect it a whole lot, was this reduced litter inside the cells. Essentially, when we first did the program in St. Mary's in October of 2008, that we put out those containers, we'll set them out, we just let those soldiers find them up the road, and we went out and collected all these containers in our vehicle, and we came back, and all you see is the containers. There's no litter blowing around, there's no bags, there's no plastic containers, anything blowing or rolling down the street. Huge difference in the collection system. Easier to handle the residents, but these containers have wheels, and just kind of push them to the curb, no problems at all. It certainly discourages scavenging because nobody's diving inside the containers to pull out recyclables. And the overall system actually costs less than what we do today. Okay. So what we've done is we've set up a proposal to convert Mentor Shores to the system. To start the process, it takes about 6 to 9 months to get the municipality launched. By the time we notify the residents, order the bins, get them out there, and save the system. It essentially kind of looks like this. Every resident would receive 2 bins, one for waste, one for recycling. And that's pretty much what they look like. So the waste bin would have the black lid, and the recycling bin would have the blue lid. You keep them gray. A lot of municipalities, when you travel the world, or North America for sure, they choose a bin that's the full color. So it'll be a full blue bin or a full black bin. And we could do that. As a collector, for us, it's actually easier to see the container. But we thought that we didn't want to disturb the neighborhoods as much as possible. So we chose a gray color that kind of blends in with the rest of the area. And all we need to know is the difference in materials. We know that just from the lid, and that's all we need to do. So it was just a preference there. We're offering you a variety of frequencies, which we're going to get to in a second here. And one of the advantages of that as well is that with those containers, we do the urban areas on both sides of the street instead of the single side right now. So we actually improve the level of service. So the proposals that we put together is comparing today's costs versus the new system. So as you can see, regardless of frequency or which option you choose, your cost goes down. First one, which is the weekly for everything, which is currently what you have, your cost will go down about $1.88 per household per year. Second proposal is weekly, bi-weekly, where we would collect the waste bin on a weekly basis and recycling on a bi-weekly basis, and you would save about $3.78, which is about the level of service you actually really need. Proposal 3 is bi-weekly everything, and that one there you have the most saving, of course, because you're really going from weekly to bi-weekly service for everything. You would actually save about $23 a household a year. That one there would be a little very strictly because of the stink factor. Because we're not dealing with organics right now, and having the waste being collected bi-weekly. In the rural area, not a big deal. In urban areas, probably a problem. And then the last one was something Betty had asked me, well, what about if we did all the urban areas fully weekly and all the rural areas bi-weekly? And that was the number that came back. It's about $3.40. And at that point, I wouldn't recommend that because really we're talking about affecting about 500 households in the whole community. And it gets a little confusing with what level of service you offer. So you'd be better off to go maybe with a proposal 2, similar savings. So recycling options, now these containers are really weird on this one here. They didn't convert very well, but there's 2 sizes of containers, 65 gallon for individuals. This contains about 4 blue box. About 6 blue box is the larger size which is the standard for families for recycling. And then where we run into cases where we have townhouses or apartment buildings or even downtown cores where it doesn't make a lot of sense to have these type of wheelie bins. Usually in the back parking lot, we'll set up a convenience depot instead and use those larger bins. There's actually a 6-yard container to hold about 12 of the larger bins. And then on the waste slide, we offer 3 sizes. Now, it doesn't show the color properly here, but they would all be like that first one. Essentially, you have either a 35 gallon, which holds 1 to 2 bags, a 65 gallon, which is 2 to 4 bags, or 95 gallon, which is 3 to 6 bags, depending on what you use. And your average household right now is producing about 0.8 of a bag per week, so the majority of your households would make that very responsible. And actually a little movie showing you what our main collection looks like when they didn't convert it. And essentially, this is what the street looks like right now in St. Mary's as far as automated collection. So those are containers, so curbside, in the neighborhood. So short, that's pretty much what it is.
Thank you, Francis. Any questions from council? I see lots of them. Council Bonster.
I'm just thinking of a couple, you know, on this, on the actual container for waste, do they actually check inside to see that the garbage tags are gonna be on the bag? Or does it automatically go up and in?
Yeah, in a system like this, you still do user pay, but you don't use bag tags. So this is not an area where there's a convenience factor for the residents. They no longer have to go out and buy tags, and they also no longer have to go out and buy garbage tags for that matter. So off those numbers you saw there, you can pretty count saving them $24 a year. The way it works is every bin that we have out there has an RFID tag. It's the same technology you would see when you go to Walmart, for example. If you walk out with a package, the bin scan, the buzzers goes off and everything else. Same type of technology, except we use that in the garbage bin. And in our case, we know what that tells us is who this bin belongs to. So when we actually lift the bin and empty it, we know which bin we've emptied. And what we do there is there's two things to your question, I guess. One is to pay. We don't use tags, so how do you pay? You pay based on size of container you have. So if, for example, it may be that the smallest container you see there, you decide to charge the residents $100 a household a year to be a container. Medium size maybe $150, and the largest size maybe $200. Okay, so it's a subscription service is what you're buying.
Okay.
Okay. As far as contamination and that sort of thing, what we do there is we have cameras on board, and every time we empty the bin, we can see what we've emptied. If we see something that wasn't supposed to be in there, we have onboard computers. Our operators are able to hit a button that says contamination. It will take a picture of what they see at the time. It will record it against the tag that's there, which gives us the address of the home, the longitude, latitude, the location we emptied the bin, the time of the day, and the location. And it sends an email to our receptionist with the photo, and then we can call the client and explain to them that we collected the recycling bin today, and there's some styrofoam in it, and it's not part of the program, please don't do that again.
Oh, that's pretty good. Can I ask a supplemental? Just,
Sure.
thank you. That's good, because that's part of education. That would help.
Yes, it is.
Now, the other question I had, Francis, is it feasible, do you think, we live in a forested area, so organics for us with the green cone doesn't work, there's no sun.
No.
But on a winter collection, since we have a lot of snowbirds in our area, would it be viable to consider bi-weekly garbage and then switch in the summer to weekly, or would that be a huge logistical?
Well, it's,
That was one of the options.
But in the summer it wouldn't work, right?
No, what he's talking about is variable service, where you do weekly in the summer and bi-weekly in the winter.
Yeah.
It's not to say you can't do it, but you have to remember now, you're giving a resident a choice of a size, and they're gonna pay for service based on that size. And, so, if a particular household says I generally produce, say 2 bags a week, and they choose the smallest size because they can fit their 2 bags a week, and that works for them. But now we get to winter, we go bi-weekly collection, because snowbirds or whatever else you decide, all of a sudden now this household is generating 4 bags per collection, that container doesn't work anymore. So, you can't really get out there and change every container every spring and fall. That would be very costly, and that would be.
So they would have to stay within a bag a week, really, is what they'd have to stay within.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. So you're best to keep your frequency year round.
Works for us.
That's good.
Okay. Ruth?
Well, first, thank you, Francis, and great presentation, and, I think back to the tour that we had back in the fall, and I'm so glad that we did that, because that certainly helped give us a good background and frame of reference for all this. And you may or may not know, we have an extensive waste management report tonight, so there's a lot of good recommendations from staff around all of this. I guess that was our big question, like how do you do the user pay thing, really good, so that's sort of been answered. I guess what I'd like to know is when you've implemented this in other communities, what kinds of communication